Governor Carter, are you prepared to take the constitutional oath?
I am.
Will you place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear
I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
That's my boy. Well, my eldest son, actually. You know, I didn't raise any of my children to become president. In fact, when Jimmy told me he was going to run for president, I said, president of what? Yes. It took me totally by surprise. Now, I raised my children to be the best they could be, whatever they wanted to be. And they all turned out lions. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. As you know, I'm Lillian Carter, born Bessie Lillian Gordy. I was born in 1898, yes, more than a century ago. And I had a very full life. Every time I thought I was growing old and getting closer to the grave, something else would happen. Well, of course, now I have passed on, which is why I can talk about my whole life in the past tense. And we are not gonna get into a talk about the afterlife or heaven or altered states. Hell, for all I know, some of you are in an altered state right now. Which reminds me, when Jimmy was running for president, all 3 television networks had their mobile units parked around the trading depot in Plains. That was campaign headquarters. Well, in the morning I'd go in, I'd stop in at each trailer, say hello, and have a cup of coffee. When the reporters got to know me a little better, they'd offer me a little pick-me-up in my coffee. So I'd go to the first trailer and have a cup of coffee and a little pick-me-up. Then I'd go to the second trailer, have a cup of coffee, a little pick-me-up. Go to the third trailer, have a cup of coffee and a little pick-me-up. Hell, by the time I got into headquarters, I was in an altered state. But that is getting me way off the subject at hand. Jimmy's inauguration. I was asked so many times if that was the best day of my life. Hell, I almost didn't make it. Everybody was so excited about being on time for Air Force One, nobody came to pick me up. By the time they got back to get me, I said, well, what good is it being president if your own damn plane won't wait for you? But it was a wonderful day, but the best day, oh, I had so many best days. It might be easier if I started with a good day. I remember a good day that took place right here in the Pond House, watching wrestling. Come on, kill him! No! Don't let him get you in the sleep or death grip. Yeah. Oh yeah, you got him now. Pin him! Oh! Just a moment, please! Well, come on in. I'm sorry about that. I almost forgot you were coming. I got so caught up in a documentary. No, that's not true. I was watching wrestling. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. Last year, I tried to talk Jimmy into taking me over to Shea Stadium for the match between Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan. But he thought it would be unseemly if an ex-president and his mama showed up at professional wrestling. Jimmy thinks it's all a lot of phony baloney. Well, I could hardly argue with him being a politician. I suppose that makes him something of an expert. Phony baloney. But I did tell him if he'd gotten the wrestling fans, he might not be ex-president. Oh, no. You must sit in that chair. I arranged it specially so that you could get the best possible view of the pond. So, you're from McCall's. I'm glad to meet you. I am surprised that they sent out a male reporter. I guess they've heard some rumors about me and thought I might loosen up a bit around a young man. Well, compared to me, you're young. I took the liberty of making us some tea. It's my mom's recipe, and I hope you're going to like it. Unless, of course, you're not a tea drinker. Welcome to the Pond House. Yes, thank you. It is beautiful. I prefer living here. It's so peaceful. Just me and the crickets. Of course, sometimes they get so loud at night they keep me awake. I'd love to show you around, but I took a fall not too long ago when I'm still recovering. I don't do many interviews anymore, but I've always loved McCall's, and now that I know that they have men reporters, I think I like them even more. I once made a dress for my granddaughter Amy from a pattern I got out of your magazine. Now I want you to try this tea. I know you're going to love it, and I want you to be honest about what you think of it. Like I said, it's my mom's recipe, and she's been dead for years, so you're not going to hurt her feelings. Sorry about that, Mama. Oh, now, don't you go writing down that Jimmy's crazy old coot mama is talking to the dead. Though I won't lie, I do feel her with me every day. And if you'd like anything else, don't you hesitate to ask. I could get you a nice piece of pecan pie. The pecans are from my own trees. Pecans have always been my personal favorite. Well, I'm a bit nervous. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I'd be more comfortable if I was in the boat out on my pond. But the doctor says I'm not supposed to go out on the water anymore. You can't swim. I wouldn't fret about it. I don't think the pond's any more than 6 feet deep in any one place. Oh, I must warn you. We're going to have to stop at about 11:45. All My Children comes on at noon. and I'll never miss it. Actually, the show is one of the reasons why I moved out here. I prefer to watch my show in my PJs with a beverage a wee bit stronger than tea. Well, one day when I was still living in town, I was watching my show, and during commercial I got up to freshen my drink, and I spied a newspaper photographer hiding in the bushes, taking my picture. Oh, I don't know who screamed louder, him or me. I could just see that picture showing up in one of those rags, probably with a caption, "Ex-President's mother drowns her midday sorrows in a glass of bourbon." Well, that very day, I packed up bag and baggage and moved out here permanently. Say, I pulled out an old copy of McCall's before you got here and noticed that they operate out of Kansas. I could never figure why Kansas didn't swing Jimmy's way. I mean, they're mostly farm people and churchgoers like we are, but in all the years that I've been in politics, I never could get a handle on why folks vote the way they do. In '64, I was sure that Georgia would back Lyndon Johnson, him being a Southerner and all, but they went for Goldwater. I assume they preferred states' rights to civil rights. The Johnson campaign couldn't even get anyone to run their campaign headquarters down there, so I volunteered. I guess that riled a few folks. On more than one occasion, the antenna on my car was twisted up. And once, somebody took some soap and smeared it all over my car. No, it didn't bother me at all. Gave me a head start on washing it. Now, you're going to have to stop that, calling me Mrs. Carter. You can call me Miss Lillian. That's a Southern thing, putting a Miss or Mister in front of somebody's first name. I don't recall your name. Could I just call you Honey? I call most everybody Honey or Darling or Sweetheart, unless that's too familiar for you. It sure comes in handy on the campaign trail. I shook hands with a lot of honeys. Jimmy says I probably called the Pope Honey when I met him. And I'll bet I did. Oh, I remember. I never felt so close to God as when I was looking in that man's face. I told him I would have made a better Catholic than a Baptist because I love to drink and gamble so much. No, he just laughed. Oh, I also have to apologize. I barely had time to put on my face this morning. I'm not a morning person. Not like Jimmy. Oh. Ever since I can remember, every morning he wakes up, sits straight up in bed, and declares, "Another day in which to excel." Well, one of those in the family is enough. No, I don't mind if you tape our conversation, but I would like a copy of the tape to make sure I'm not misquoted. That happens a lot. Though I've gotten into plenty of trouble for saying things that were written down just the way I said them. Seems I'm always putting my foot in it. Well, like when I said if I had $1 million, I'd take out a contract on the Ayatollah Khomeini. I was mad as hell. He's not the only one who can put out a fatwa. You know, I had to find out what that word meant, fatwa. Well, it's just a way of making killing sound righteous. Of course, Christians prefer using an eye for an eye to justify their killing, so I'm not sure who has the upper hand on all the murder that's going on in the world. When I say, I bet you got a lot of interesting questions for me. So, if you're all set up, why don't you kick off your shoes and fire away? Oh, you really want to start with that damn Playboy interview? All right, here's the truth. Jimmy's just never been a liar. Me, I lie all the time. Well, I have to balance the family tilt. Mostly white lies. An example? Well, you remember a couple of minutes ago when I said I was glad to meet you? I suppose, though, if you want to get technical, Jimmy's told a few white lies, but if he was really a good liar, he never would have said what he did in that interview. Yes, about looking at women with lust and having committed adultery in his heart. No, I didn't mind that he did that interview in Playboy. I don't know why people think that Christians are walking around with a stick up their backsides. I've read the interview and I even looked at some of the naked pictures. Didn't bother me at all. Hell, if I was as good looking as some of those girls, I might have been tempted to show it off myself. Don't print that. Oh, do you mind if I answer that? I'll try to cut it short. Hello, this is Lillian. Oh, Tommy, I'm so glad you called me back. It's Tommy Lasorda of the Dodgers. Oh, yes. Well, I'm fine, thank you. Of course, I won't be stealing many bases this season, so maybe you better put me on the DL. Yes. Yeah. Well, I did want to offer you a bit of advice for what it's worth. Well, that's sweet of you to say. Anyway, I was thinking you might want to be careful about overworking that new young pitcher, Valenzuela. Well, you don't want to have another Sandy Koufax on your hand and have him stop playing altogether. Oh, well, yes, I know. The fans are all going nuts over him, but the kid's only 20. Uh-huh. No. Well, you're the manager. You know best. Most of the time. Oh, yes. I wish I could get out to a game. Maybe when you boys are passing through Atlanta, I can get Billy to drive me out to the park. Of course, I won't be able to wear my Dodger cap. These Braves fans, they get a little sensitive. Tommy, now listen, I'm going to have to cut this short. Yeah, I'm doing a magazine interview. Oh, no, it's not the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. No, it's McCall's. A ladies' magazine. God bless you too, Tommy. Sorry about it. I'm going to take this off the hook. I love talking to Tommy. Oh. He's just wonderful. Thank you for understanding. Well, hell, you'd probably rather be interviewing him than me. Well, now who's telling white lies? Oh. I love all sports, but the Dodgers have always had a special place in my heart. I'm going to tell you something that even the children don't know. I've got a full Dodger uniform in the back of my closet. I'm thinking about putting it in my will that I want to be buried in it. Wouldn't that be a hoot, looking in my coffin and see me there in my Dodger blue? To this day, one of the highlights of my life was being present at the first Major League Baseball game that Jackie Robinson played in. Oh, that was quite an honor. Ranks right up there with Jimmy's inauguration. Oh. Earl and I were so excited about being at that game. Well, there were a few rotten apples in the crowd, and one of them was sitting right behind us. He was yelling the most vile things about Jackie, and he was a Dodger fan. Oh, I was getting so angry. And honestly, I was getting scared for Jackie. I wanted to say something that would shut him up, but Earl thought it would be best if I just kept quiet. Not something I'm real good at. Well, finally, the 7th inning stretch came, and Earl went to get us some hot dogs. No sooner had he left, but this guy starts in on Jackie again. Well, I just couldn't keep my mouth shut. Excuse me, sir, but I would appreciate it if you kept your comments to yourself. Yes, I know it's a free country. I wonder if you know that. Yes, I'm from the South. How do we treat coons in our neck of the woods? Well, if you're talking about raccoons, we just let the dogs chase them away. I'm not trying to be cute, sir. Well, I don't care for your tone or your language. Oh, yes? Well, you remind me of the ass we used to pull our papa's plow. Only difference is we truly cared about that ass. How did I escape prejudice? Well, I'm not sure anyone truly escapes it. It's one of our country's greatest sins. I grew up hearing all the nasty, hateful things people would say about colorful blacks. Now you see, even I can't get used to calling them blacks or African Americans, but I think people have the right to be called whatever they like, especially if it makes them feel better about themselves. I knew about lynchings. Oh, terrible, terrible things. In my house, growing up, well, my papa respected people on their own terms, white or black. Yeah. He valued hard work and honesty and kindness. My papa didn't care about skin color, so neither did I. I've come to understand that that's quite unusual. Yes, I was very close to my papa. For a while, I thought I was his favorite. Can I show you something? This is the first fishing pole that I ever had. My papa made it for me. Said he'd buy me a real one once I got the hang of what I was doing. I should have thrown this whole thing out years ago, but I just never had the heart. I caught my fair share of fish with this old pole. Truth is, sometimes I don't care if I catch anything or not. Just sitting by the riverbank or by my pond gives me real peace. Everything seems to slow down when I'm fishing, and it gets so quiet. Then, if I'm lucky, there's a moment of excitement. I get a strike. It could be a catfish or a trout or even a lake bass, or it could be something smaller, a perch or a crappie. Sometimes the little ones put up the biggest fight, whatever it is. It feels like some sort of a dance between me and the fish, and then finally I pull him in, take him out of the water, and hold him up to the light, depending on the kind of fish. The scales sort of shimmer in the sunlight, almost blinding at you, and nothing feels better at the end of the day than taking home a long line of fish to show off, especially to your papa. Not bad, huh, Papa? What? Oh, no, I can't do that. No, I'm not scared, but if I gotta clean them, I just as should throw them back. Lots of reasons why. For one, it'll take a week to get the fish smell out of my hands. And for another, some of them are still alive, and if I gotta kill them before I clean them, I think I'll throw up. No, it won't help if I think of them as Yankees. Besides, you know damn good and well how much I admire Abe Lincoln, and he was a Yankee. Oh, Papa, I've heard you and the boys say lots about worse things than damn. How's this? I'll watch my mouth if you clean my fish. My papa, well, my papa was a restless man. Before he met Mama, he was engaged to a girl and left her at the altar. Now, Mama knew that. And when he proposed to her, she said yes, but she refused to get dressed for the wedding until the preacher came over and assured her that Papa was there. Well, on her wedding day, she waited at the preacher's house right next door to the church with her wedding dress on the bed until she knew that Papa was there. On my wedding day, Mama told me how she handled her frustrations. I'm sure she was preparing me for my own. When things got bad, Mama would go out the back of the house and into a field where no one could hear her, and she'd yell, "Damn, damn, damn," as loud as she could. See, Papa wasn't an easy man. A couple of times a year, he'd pack a few things and say to Mama, I'm going out to the farm. She knew better than to resist. And then about a week later, he'd come walking in as if he'd just been to the drugstore. I know it hurt Mama, but she never showed it. It scared me. I always wondered why he didn't take us with him. But I got used to it. It might have been my first lesson in letting people be who they really are. That's really important, you know? Even if it hurts. Oh, you know, I get irritated when people talk about how hard it was when they grew up. Growing up isn't easy. It never was. And sometimes it's just a luck of the draw what kind of good or bad fortune you get. I remember a time several years back, a kid climbed up to the top of the water tower just outside of town. A poor black kid. Yeah. He said he was going to jump. Oh, the firemen were there, the police. A crowd had gathered. It was like a circus had come to town, and he said if anyone came up, he would jump. Well, I don't know what got into me, but I went around to the back of the water tower and climbed up a ladder where he couldn't see me. I walked around to where he was. His name was Jimmy, just like my son. And when I walked around to where he could see me, every muscle in his body tensed up, but he didn't jump. Probably wondered what this crazy old white woman was doing up there. Hi, Jimmy. Yep, I'm crazy, all right. No, I'm not going to try to take you down. I don't think I have much luck anyway. You're much bigger and stronger than I am. You know, I've got a son named Jimmy. He's a bit older than you. Ooh, oh, this is quite a view you've got up here. Okay, we could sell some tickets to those looky-loos down there. They ought to pay something for being so damn nosy. Ooh, that's quite a well you got under your eye. Did you get that climbing up here? Oh, your daddy did it. No. I never hit my Jimmy like that. Maybe a slap when he got his hand too close to the fire or something like that. Does your daddy hit you a lot? Well, that's got to stop. I'll see to it that it stops, and I'll get me some backup. You were gonna run away. Oh, that's too bad. And now that my Jimmy's all grown up, I need another fishing buddy. You understand? Well, I've got an old pole that my papa made for me, so you can use my new one. Yeah, I was lucky. I had a good papa. He wasn't perfect, mind you. But I knew he loved me. That's really important, you know? Knowing you're loved. Hey, I just met you and already I love you. No, I'm not trying to trick you. Haven't you ever heard of love at first sight? Well, I believe it. So here, what do you say? Let's you and me go on down. I've got a bucket full of worms and a hankering for some fried catfish. Oh, one thing. You're gonna have to clean them. That Jimmy, he was a good boy. A lot of folks chipped in and social services got him away from that father of his. He did real well for himself. He comes back to the Plains sometimes, and when he does, he comes to see me. Oh, no, I don't play the piano. Not anymore. I used to plunk out a few tunes. Earl used to pretend that he liked the way I played 12th Street Rag. No, I don't remember it anymore. But I've always thought that music is quite a blessing. You ain't nothing but a hound dog! You know, Elvis Presley was a fourth cousin of mine. But I do love having this piano here. You know, actually it's an old-fashioned player piano. So if I want to, I can just put a roll in and pump away and pretend it's 60 years ago, and Earl is sitting on the piano bench right next to me. You know, my Earl, he was something of a hound dog. Nowadays you call him a ladies' man. The first time I met Earl Carter was at a dance at Magnolia Springs. I went with George Tanner, a sawmill man. Well, George's sister, Lucy, came with us, and Earl was her date. I didn't talk to Earl much that night. I'd seen him around, and I thought he was too big for his britches. Well, George went to get me a glass of punch, and Earl came over to talk to me. Excuse me? No, why would I want to do a thing like that? Well, I'm here with George, and I don't think Lucy would appreciate it if I danced with her date. Well, you came with her. That makes you her date. Oh. So George put you up to this. Well, I have to talk to him about that. Now, you listen to me, Earl Carter. You may think you're something special, but as far as I'm concerned, you are the only one who thinks so. Oh, I have seen you, yes, showing off at the swimming hole, doing backflips and thinking all the girls are watching you. And oh, yes, I saw. Well, no, but I wasn't looking. Well, I know I think I wasn't watching. I promise. I was so mad at myself for letting Earl get the best of me. We did have that dance. And the band played Always, you know, da 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 da, always. That became Earl's and my song, but not that night. I was so mad, and I was determined never to speak to Earl Carter again. Well, that didn't work out so well, thank the Lord. You know, I don't know if I believe in destiny or not, but as put off as I was by Earl Carter that night, I somehow had the feeling that I would see him again. Well, a week later, I was at the soda fountain with some of the other nurses, and Earl comes sauntering in, big as you please. Now, you may not have a word with me, because my friends and I are enjoying our Coca-Colas, and we do not want any more company. Well, all right. But this better be important. Oh, well, the one you should be apologizing to is Lucy. The way you treated her at the dance was appalling. Well, no, I do not want to go for a ride in your Model T. I don't care if it's open top, anyway, it looks like rain, and I do not want to take a bath in your car. Absolutely not. Well, of course, I did go for that ride. And I was right about the rain. I had borrowed a blue taffeta dress from one of the other nurses. We wore our nurses' uniforms most of the time and swapped regular clothes when we had a date. Well, Earl wanted to take me out to see some farmland that his family owned out near Preston. We got out about to Choctawhatchee Creek when it started raining buckets. Oh, we parked under an old wagon shed, and Earl had a wool lap robe that we covered up with. By the time the rain stopped, we were pretty well acquainted. Well, I'm feeling a bit warmish. Why don't we go out on the porch and sit on the swing? Oh, sure, you can bring your tape recorder. Come on. I've always loved this swing. It wasn't here when Jimmy and Earl first built this little house. Oh, it burned to the ground. Had to be rebuilt from scratch. Yeah. Billy put up this swing for me. Oh, speaking of the devil, look who's here. Oh, Billy! Billy, darling! What are you doing out here? Why did you come all this way? My line is busy. Oh, I took my phone off the hook because I'm having an interview with this lovely young man from McCall's. I don't need a nap. Doctor's orders. I never knew a doctor who was worth his salt without a good nurse. Well, I'm a nurse. Fine. You can run along. Yes. I promise I'll take a little rest. But you gotta call me in time to wake me for my program! He's really a good boy. He had a hard time of it. Earl died when he was in high school, set him adrift for a long while. You know, it may surprise you, but of all my children, Billy's the smartest one of the bunch. I don't think this farm would have survived without him. And I'm not talking about the heavy lifting. He has a real knack for the business side of things, and he also has the best sense of humor. Once, someone in the press called him the eccentric Carter. Without a moment's hesitation, he responded with, "I've got one sister who rides around on her Harley, another sister who's a holy roller preacher. My mama joined the Peace Corps when she was 70, and my brother thinks he's going to be president of the United States. Now, which one of us do you think is normal?" You know, the thing I most disliked about being in the spotlight was all the negative attention, especially when it's focused on the children or the grandchildren. Oh, I can take it. I probably deserve it some of the time. But nothing gets my dander up quicker than reading something about the children that is unfair. Billy got the worst of it. Most folks thought of him as some sort of a clown. I'm sure Billy Bear didn't help any. He felt a lot of shame about that. You know, he joined AA and really turned his life around. But you don't read about that, no. That doesn't sell many papers. Now, I hate to be rushing you off, but if I don't do like Billy says, then Jimmy will come out here and scold me. So, thank you for being so nice. And I mean it when I say, it was nice to meet you, honey. Earl Carter. No, I do not want to dance with you right now. Oh, you are something, Earl. Oh, yes, yes. Oh, I love you, Earl. You were the beginning of all that happened to me. The family, the kids. Even my life now, without you, it all came from my love for you. You do know that, don't you? Oh. You don't have to tell me you weren't perfect. I don't think most people think of you and perfection in the same thought. Or me and perfection. We were simple folk. That was our strength. That's what's gotten me this far. Do you remember where you were when I went into labor with Jimmy? Of course you don't. You were at a poker game and fish fry. Oh, I know. You were 29 and set in your ways, but I could never understand why you couldn't give up one of your Friday night poker games, even for the birth of your child. Do you know that our son became president? Of what? Of the United States? Yeah. No! Not Billy. Jimmy! Jimmy was the president, and I think he did a wonderful job. It's a hard job, Earl. It's harder than farming. It's harder than nursing. Harder than being alone. Our Jimmy affected the whole world. Do you realize that? Oh, you should have been here. You missed some of the best parts. Oh, some amazing things happened. Oh, reporters interview me, print my pictures. I've been all around the world. I met the Pope. I met 2 popes. And I played blackjack with Frank Sinatra. Yes, sir. I won. Ruth? Oh, bless her heart. Yes. Remember how sickly she was as a child? Everybody thought she was going to die for sure. She had pneumonia, and I thought you had lost your mind when you picked her up out of the crib and walked her over to the front window. I begged you to put her back, but you said, I want her to see the sunshine one more time. Well, she turned out to be the strongest of us all and a wonderful preacher. And she was a big help to Billy when you weren't here. Laura? Yes? Oh, yes. She's still riding around on her Harleys. You know, I think one of the reasons why you and she were at loggerheads so often was because you're more alike than different. Do you know, she encouraged me to take all the letters that I wrote home from India when I was in the Peace Corps and put them into a book. Oh, we had a wonderful time on that book tour. She even became a public speaker for a while. No, I don't take care of my pecans anymore. Oh, I surely do miss it. Farming my pecans was like picking up money off the ground. You remember I made enough money every year from my pecans to buy all of our Christmas presents. In fact, one year I made more money from my pecans than I made from nursing. But we always had enough. Even during the Depression. Well, I just could never turn anyone away. I know it irritated you, and you always wondered why all those drifters came to our house for a handout. Well, I asked one fella one day at our door, and he said very politely, he said, "Ma'am, you've got a mark on your mailbox that says you don't mistreat us and you don't turn us away." Well, I didn't tell you because I knew you'd have Jimmy paint over the mailbox. And I think that the children learned a lot from some of those folks. They were just down on their luck and looking for any kind of job. So, no. I didn't tell you that part of the story. Secrets, I wasn't keeping it. Earl Carter, you got no call to accuse me of keeping secrets. Why didn't you tell me you were sick? Oh, I was a nurse, for God's sake. I would have gotten you to a doctor earlier. Oh, now you don't know it wouldn't have done any good. You at least should have tried, but you just gave up. Yes, you should have tried for me. You owed me that much. You owed the children that much, but you just decided to die. I needed you. And you left me. No, it's got nothing to do with Papa leaving us. Besides, there's a big difference between you and Papa. Papa always came back You didn't. You can't. No. I don't want to dance with you right now. I'm supposed to be resting. I promised Billy that I would. Well, no, I'm all right. I'm just a little tired. Come home soon, please. Oh, you bet I miss you. And it's your fault. Oh, Carter. Do you hear me? I loved you. I love you still. Damn! 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 Psalms. Oh. Psalms. My life is consumed by anguish, and my years by groaning. My strength fails because of my affliction, and my bones grow weak. Oh, comfort. There's no comfort in that. Ruth. Oh dear. I don't know what to say. I had a bad dream. Yes, your papa was in it. I said some horrible things. Ezekiel 19:5. When she saw her hope unfulfilled, her expectation gone, she took another of her cubs and made him a strong lion. She took her cubs and, well, yes, I see it in you, in all of your strength. Each of you in your own way, but I don't know. What brings you here, honey? Why did you come? Oh, well, I don't think that's such a good idea. You know, I love you ministering, but I don't think I should go tonight. Well, I don't think I'm the best example of a good Christian. Oh. Now, I hear what you're saying, and I'm all right. Don't worry about me, but I just find it harder and harder to believe that the only people who are going to go to heaven believe in Jesus as their Savior. Well, of course I do. Well, yes. I remember when Jimmy's faith deepened, you asked him, if you were accused of being a Christian, would there be enough evidence to convict you? That was your gift. That got him thinking. Jimmy says that's when he turned his life around. But there are an awful lot of people in the world, Jews and Muslims and Buddhists and Hindus, hell, probably some atheists. And some of them probably deserve to go to heaven as much as you or I do. Now, don't take this the wrong way, honey, but being around people who want to exclude others, it just doesn't sit right with me. So, no, not tonight. I wouldn't be convicted today. Do you know the John Lennon song, Imagine? I've played it over and over again. The part where he says there's no religion and no heaven and no hell. At first I thought it was sort of heresy, but then I thought that maybe he meant something much deeper, that people should be allowed to believe whatever they want, but that it's wrong to use those beliefs against one another. That doesn't seem very Christian to me. Now, I don't know if John Lennon was a Christian or not, but that got me to thinking. That was his gift, just like you had yours. So, do you know why I asked for an assignment in a country of mostly dark-skinned people in the Peace Corps? Because I wanted to live and breathe and experience a part of the world that wasn't very Christian. So there I was in Bombay in that clinic. And on my first day, a little girl with leprosy walked in all by herself, and I was terrified. She tried to cover up her sores, but they were everywhere. Dr. Bhatia said very casually, "You take this one." I almost fainted. I put on my mask, I gave him a shot as quickly as I could, and then I ran to the bathroom and scrubbed my entire body, red and raw. That girl came in for treatment every week, and I dreaded that visit most of all. But the chore of it, not the child. After a while, I became a little less afraid. And then, one day, I looked directly in her eyes and I saw that she trusted me, a strange, old, white woman from another country, a Christian. And I smiled at her, and I started looking forward to seeing her. She became precious to me, and though I knew I shouldn't expect much from her treatments, her spirit grew. We held hands, and I managed a few Marathi words, and a love grew between us. And one day, I held her little face in my hands, and I kissed her lips. I had to. It didn't matter. Well, Dr. Bhatia heard about that and was furious. The next day, when he saw me, he scolded me in front of the whole clinic. "She has infectious leprosy and must not be touched," he yelled. "This is survival of the fittest, Missy. Do not try to change us in the short time that you are here. This is the course of life. We do what we can, but we also know what we can't do. Do not expect miracles." And I said, very quietly, "Dr. Bhatia, the miracle has already happened. Whether that girl lives or dies." So there I was, in the least Christian country that you can imagine, the only white woman, the only white person in that clinic, nursing to a child who barely understood me, and she probably knew she was dying. And I so hoped that she would go to heaven, because I think if she didn't, then I think none of my beliefs make any sense. How could they, Ruth? Do you understand what I mean? My next assignment in India was to educate men about birth control. That was a good job for me. I made 2 hand puppets and did my show on a cardboard stage. The last scene of the play was to show them how easy and effective vasectomies were. Well, I never got any standing ovations, but I did sign up 30 3 men after one show. India wasn't hopeless, but it just had endless challenges. Some days at the clinic, we would see 100 or more people and never take a break. One day, the director of the Peace Corps came by and said he wanted to meet me. Well, I'd never met him and I didn't know what he looked like, but he said he wanted to take me out shopping and to dinner. Well, I said that wasn't necessary, but he wouldn't hear of it. Well, we had a delightful day together, at the end of which he presented me with a bottle of my favorite bourbon, Old Forester. Just as he was leaving, he turned around and said to me, "Miss Lillian, who the hell are you anyway?" Well, it seems that Hubert Humphrey had given him specific instructions on how I was supposed to be treated. I'm sure Muriel, Hubert's wife, had something to do with that. Well, I answered his question like this. "I am Miss Lillian Carter, born Lillian Gordy of Plains, Georgia, and I do appreciate the bourbon." The bourbon was good. But I had an even better treat when I was in India. The gardener for the wealthiest family in the village where I served would bring me vegetables and flowers frequently. I knew he could get into a great deal of trouble for that, and I tried to pay him, but he refused. I finally convinced him to allow me to compensate him for his kindnesses by letting me teach his little daughter, Maud Hobby, how to read and write in English. Oh, some of my best memories of those 2 years were spent with that beautiful girl. She was so full of joy, and she helped to ease the pain of my missing my own grandchildren. Yes, I was excited and terrified when my time in India came to a close. I had nightmares that I would get off the plane and be surrounded by strange white people. Strange white people. Now, isn't that funny? Jimmy! Did you come out here to help me weed? Or did one of your friends drive his car into the pond last night after the barbecue? Oh, I'm just kidding you. Ruth and I were just talking about Ezekiel saying how a mother's work is to take her cubs and make them strong lions. Well, thank you for thinking that I did that. I really always thought of myself as just a celebrity once removed, but I tried to put it to good use. It surely came in handy at the blackjack table in Vegas. Now, how would you like to run down to the store and get me a pack of Pall Malls? I don't give a damn what the doctors say. Lots of things are going to kill me before cigarettes. Fine. I'm not pouting. I just think you're being unreasonable. Well, I don't worry about taking risks much. I just do what I want. And when you gotta go, you gotta go. Now, don't you get uppity with me. You gotta learn to let people be themselves and give them the space to thrive. I think you will find that most of them are determined to make the world a better place. I know I always did. And I tried to see that in everyone I met. Yes. If I had one wish, it would be that people reach for goals that have meaning for them as individuals. Well, now, all of you did that. Yes, yes, yes. Even Gloria, when she decided to be den mother to her fellow bikers. There is a will to excellence, and that has made us anything but boring. Sometimes wonderful, sometimes unbearable, but always, always incorrigible overachievers. And I am so proud of you, of each of you. And I'm sure your papa would have been proud of you too. I think he's probably been looking down from heaven all this time with a smile on his face. Yes, I miss your papa every day, but I find great comfort in knowing that I will see him again. And I will have no trouble recognizing that smile. Now, it's time for you two to get out of here. I gotta find somebody who will buy me those cigarettes. But I do appreciate you both finding the time to come out and see me. Now that was a good day. Oh, my lion cubs. Darling Ruth. Ruth passed away with pancreatic cancer about a month before I did. That was dreadful. That was very hard, losing my girl. Then in 1990, Gloria died of pancreatic cancer also. My young cub, Billy, he was sober for 10 years when he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Interesting, isn't it? He was in great pain, and even his children suggested that he take a drink to ease the pain, but he refused. He said he had worked too hard to get sober to allow himself to die a drunk. And Jimmy. Oh, in 2006, Rosalind and Jimmy went to India to see the place where I had served in the Peace Corps. And after visiting the place where I lived and the places where I worked, a lovely young lady introduced herself to them, and that was Madhavi, the little girl that I had taught so many years before. She told them that her father had passed away, and they asked her how she was doing. Well, she had received her doctorate degree, and she was at that time the president of the nearby university. Oh. Now, where was I? Oh, Jimmy's inauguration.
We reject the prospect of failure or mediocrity or an inferior quality of life for any person. Our commitment to human rights must be absolute. Our laws fair, our natural beauty preserved, and human dignity must be enhanced. We must simply do our best.
Oh, that's our song. Only, I've got it. The best day of my life was the day I married you. Earl Carter, may I have this dance? Not for just an hour, not for just a day, not for just a year, but